Okay, let's dive into a real head scratcher, literally. Have you ever looked at someone, maybe it's a guy you know, maybe it's you, and they've got this just magnificent beard game, like seriously impressive.
Oh yeah, like Viking level beard status.
Exactly. But then you look up top, and it's kind of like a bowling ball, all smooth and shiny.
It's the ultimate biological contradiction, isn't it? You've got this thriving hair situation on the face, maybe the chest, even the back of the head is fine, but the crown, total shutdown.
Right. It makes you think, well, it can't just be age or genetics. Otherwise, wouldn't all the hair kind of fade out together?
Precisely. There's clearly something else going on. One part of the scalp is behaving totally differently.
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to figure out why this paradox. And we're zeroing in on this really overlooked root cause. It's got way less to do with your genes or how old you are than you probably think.
And to get there, we need to stop thinking about the hair strand itself for a second. We need to talk about the environment it grows in, the follicle.
Follicle,
Okay.
yeah.
Think of it like the soil in a garden, a really high-tech garden. If that soil is perfect, the hair grows strong. If the soil turns to, I don't know, concrete, nothing's growing there.
So the soil is more important than the seed, in a way.
You got it. And this follicle, this little soil patch, it's incredibly demanding. It needs a ton of oxygen constantly. It's an energy hog.
Energy hog.
Yeah, and that energy comes from these tiny power plants inside called mitochondria. If those power plants start failing or the oxygen supply gets cut, the whole hair production line just grinds to a halt. The hair gets thinner, smaller. Miniaturization.
Okay, so something's missing with the soil,
Yeah.
making it toxic or starved. Now, we know hormones change as we age. Testosterone often gets blamed, but you mentioned there's this other player.
Right. Testosterone might actually decrease a bit, but
Yeah.
its, let's call it, more powerful, slightly annoying cousin tends to go up. And that seems to be our main villain here, DHT.
DHT, dihydrotestosterone.
That's the one. Now, look, DHT isn't all bad. You need some for, libido, other things. But the body converts testosterone into DHT using this enzyme, 5-alpha reductase. And when that conversion process goes into overdrive, when you get excessive DHT levels, that's when it triggers this really destructive cascade, specifically in those sensitive follicles on the crown of the head.
Okay, so what's the damage actually look like? We hear DHT shrinks the hair, but what's it doing down there in the soil?
It's like a multi-pronged attack. First, too much DHT clamps down on the tiny blood vessels around the follicle, vasoconstriction,
Okay, so less blood flow.
which means less oxygen getting through. That creates a state called hypoxia locally, right there in the scalp. The tissue is basically suffocating.
Ouch. And the body doesn't like that.
No, it hates it. Lack of oxygen is a major alarm signal. So the body triggers this intense inflammation response in the scalp tissue trying to deal with the problem.
So now the soil is suffocating and inflamed.
Great. Exactly. And then the body tries to repair this deep inflammation. It sends in the cleanup crew, but instead of fixing things properly, it uses the wrong materials.
What do you mean wrong materials?
It starts laying down this hard, dense, fibrous scar tissue. Collagen buildup, essentially, right around the follicle.
Whoa, wait. Scar tissue. Like actual internal scarring. You're saying that shiny scalp might actually be scarred underneath?
That's the microscopic reality, yeah. Once that follicle gets totally encased in this scar tissue, the blood supply is choked off for good. The factory is dead. And that smooth, shiny look, it's often the scar tissue underneath pulling the skin taut.
Man. Okay, and this is where the conventional treatments come in, right? The drugs.
Yeah, and they go for the chemical nuclear option, potent drugs that block that 5-alpha reductase enzyme, stopping the DHT production.
Which sounds good.
But they block it everywhere in the body, not just the scalp. So, yeah, maybe you slow down the hair loss, but the potential price, a nosedive in libido, serious issues with erectile function. It's frankly kind of a dramatic and almost hilariously bad trade-off for a lot of people.
Yikes. Talk about throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
Totally. It's like demolishing your whole house because the kitchen tap is dripping.
Yeah.
Which brings us back to the real question. Why is the body going so crazy converting testosterone to DHT in the first place?
Right. If it was just your genes, wouldn't everyone in the family lose hair at the same age? Like clockwork. But they don't.
Exactly. So if age and genes are just passengers, what's actually driving this high DHT conversion? And this is where it gets super interesting because it's almost never linked to hair loss in the mainstream discussion. The single strongest driver. It's insulin resistance.
Insulin resistance. Okay, I know that's linked to diabetes, weight gain, all sorts of stuff. But hair loss,
It's the bedrock issue. We really have to fix this foundation. IR is tangled up in so many chronic health problems, and yes, it massively ramps up the activity of that 5-alpha reductase enzyme we talked about.
So having trouble with insulin and blood sugar literally tells your body to make more of the hair-killing hormone.
That's a huge part of it, and it gets worse. It's like a cruel double whammy.
Oh, great. What else?
Insulin resistance also messes up your liver's ability to manage hormones properly.
How does the liver fit in?
Well, your liver makes this stuff called sex hormone binding globulin, SHBG. Think of it like a hormonal police officer or a bouncer.
Or keeping things in check.
Exactly. SHBG grabs onto excess testosterone floating around, keeps it under control, makes sure it's not free to cause trouble. But IR, it tells the liver to make less SHDG.
Uh-oh. So the bouncer goes on break.
The bouncer's gone. Suddenly you've got way more free testosterone circulating. And what happens to all that free testosterone?
It gets converted into even more DHT by that enzyme that's already working overtime because of the IR.
Bingo. The whole system goes haywire, all starting from that underlying insulin resistance.
Wow. Okay, so just rubbing stuff on your scalp isn't going to cut it if the internal hormonal storm is still raging. You have to tackle the IR.
Absolutely. But let's say you are working on the IR. We still have that damaged scalp environment, the concrete soil, the suffocated follicles. We need to fix that too, right?
Right. Like you said about hair transplants, they only work because they move the follicle, the whole soil environment, not just the hair strand.
Exactly. So the next step is, how do we actively reverse that damage? Break down the scar tissue, get the energy flowing again, boost the oxygen. And there are some really effective non-drug ways to do this that most people just don't know about.
Okay, let's hear them. Where do we start fixing the soil?
Let's start with breaking up that compacted, scarred soil. Mechanical stimulation. Think of it like tilling a farm field that's gotten hard as rock. You need to break it up.
Tilling the scalp.
Microneedling. Done correctly, with the right depth, it creates these tiny microchannels. This does a few things. It signals the body to start a healing process instead of just scarring. It physically helps break down that fibrous tissue, and crucially, it seems to wake up dormant stem cells in the area.
So you're literally signaling, stop hardening, start repairing.
Pretty much. You're aerating the soil, allowing nutrients and oxygen back in.
Okay, soil's broken up. But those little energy factories, the mitochondria, they're still damaged from the lack of oxygen, right? How do we jumpstart them?
Good point. They need a direct energy boost. And this is where red or new infrared light therapy comes in. There's a ton of research on this now.
Light therapy, like shining a red light on your head.
Essentially, yes. Using specific wavelengths of light, usually between about 630 and 850 nanometers. It's not heat. It's specific light energy. It directly stimulates those struggling mitochondria. It helps them repair and start producing energy efficiently again. Gives the follicle factory the juice it needs to restart production.
Okay, tilling the soil, jump-starting the power plants. What about getting the supplies delivered? The oxygen.
Right. Circulation, vasodilation, getting blood flow back to those starved follicles. This is actually how the main conventional drug, Rogaine or minoxidil, works.
I always wondered about Rogaine.
Yeah.
So it doesn't block DHT.
Nope. Zero effect on DHT. It works only by forcing the blood vessels open, increasing circulation to flood the area with oxygen and nutrients. It's a bit of a blunt instrument, but the principle boosting delivery is sound.
But maybe there's a more subtle way, a natural approach.
Definitely. And this is where something like rosemary oil gets really interesting. Forget the pizza jokes for a second.
Okay, trying.
The active compounds, the phytonutrients in rosemary oil, seem to do several things at once. They improve circulation, yes, like minoxidil, but they also seem to act as mild inhibitors of that 5-alpha reductase enzyme.
Oh, they gently reduce DHT locally.
Exactly. Plus, they reduce inflammation and they help protect the mitochondria themselves. It's tackling the problem from multiple angles: circulation, hormones, inflammation, energy, all in one go. Much more sophisticated than just forcing blood vessels open.
That sounds actually pretty powerful. A multi-tool for the scalp.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, so we've got the external stuff. Breaking the soil with microneedling, powering up with red light, improving delivery with rosemary. But what about the internal fuel? The nutrients needed to actually build the hair once the factory's back online.
Critical piece.
Yeah.
You need the raw materials. And to really stimulate those stem cells and growth factors, 2 nutrients stand out, especially in therapeutic doses. We're talking zinc and vitamin D3.
Zinc and D3. Okay, what kind of levels are we looking at? Not just the basic RDA, I assume.
Definitely not. For zinc, you're probably looking at somewhere around 30, maybe 40 milligrams a day. It's absolutely crucial for cell division, making new hair cells.
Got it. And vitamin D3.
D3 is huge for regulating the immune response, calming that inflammation and stimulating growth factors. To really see an effect, you likely need no less than 10,000 IUs daily. Many people are deficient anyway, but for active repair, you need robust levels.
10,000 IUs. Wow, okay. Good to know. Now, back to DHT for a sec. If we want to gently nudge that conversion down, besides rosemary oil, what are some other natural hitters? Things that inhibit that enzyme without the side effects of the drugs.
There are quite a few plant compounds that show promise as mild 5-alpha reductase inhibitors. The ones you hear about most are saw palmetto.
Right, seen that one.
Pumpkin seed oil is another big one. Also EGCG, which is that potent antioxidant you get from green tea.
Green tea, interesting.
And even surprisingly, peppermint oil. Applied topically, some studies suggest it has a localized DHT inhibiting effect too.
Peppermint oil, okay, the scalp's going to smell. Interesting.
Maybe, but effective.
All right, this brings us to the grand finale you promised. The ultimate hair-boosting meal. The one designed to hit all these targets, nutrients, bioavailability, maybe even some DHT blocking. Lay it on us. What's for dinner?
Okay, prepare yourself. It might sound a little old school, but it's a nutrient powerhouse designed for this specific purpose. We're talking liver, onions, sauerkraut, and pumpkin seeds.
A liver. Seriously. You lost me at liver. That's like punishment food from childhood.
I know. But hear me out. Hair needs iron, specifically highly bioavailable hem iron, to carry oxygen effectively to the follicle. Liver is absolutely packed with it. Plus, it's loaded with zinc, copper, selenium. It's nature's multivitamin for energy and building blocks.
Okay. And the onions, just to make the liver palatable.
They help. But no, onions are super high in quercetin. Remember we talked about inflammation being a key part of the damage? Quercetin is a rock star anti-inflammatory. Soothes the fire from the inside.
All right, liver for oxygen and minerals, onions for inflammation. Makes sense. What's next? Sauerkraut. Isn't that for gut health?
It is, but it's got a hair secret weapon. Fermented cabbage, proper sauerkraut, has insane amounts of vitamin C. We're talking potentially up to 700 milligrams in half a cup.
700 milligrams. Wow.
Yeah. Plus, it contains over 600 different phytonutrients, some of which research suggests can help decrease DHT and also support collagen health, keeping that scalp structure strong. It's amazing stuff.
Fighting DHT with cabbage. I kind of love how weird that is.
Right. And the final touch, a handful of pumpkin seeds sprinkled on top.
Ah, back to the pumpkin seeds.
Yep. Great source of magnesium, which is needed for, everything. And as we mentioned, the seeds themselves are natural DHT inhibitors, so it adds another layer of hormonal balancing to the meal. Perfect synergy.
The liver, onions, sauerkraut, pumpkin seeds. Okay, maybe not the meal I dreamed of, but I see the logic. It's hitting everything.
Exactly. Maximum nutritional impact for hair repair.
So let's pull this all together. We've talked about the follicle environment, the energy crisis, the oxygen delivery, the nutrients, the hormonal driver, all these layers. But you're saying none of the topical fixes, the microneedling, the red light, the rosemary, none of it will be a complete fix unless...
Unless you address the original reason the whole system went off the rails in the first place.
Which brings us back to square one.
Back to the foundation. Insulin resistance. You have to work on correcting that systemic issue. That's what kicks off the whole cascade, the ramped up DHT, the inflammation, the eventual scarring. Everything else is fighting the downstream effects. Fixing IR is upstream.
So when you really connect the dots, seeing your hair thin or disappear, it's not just, a bad hair day or bad genes kicking in. It's actually a pretty loud signal from your body.
It's a massive signal, a profound systemic warning sign that your fundamental energy systems and hormonal regulation are seriously out of whack.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Here's the closing thought. If your hair follicles are literally abandoning ship because the underlying hormonal environment has become toxic due to insulin resistance, what else might that same IR be quietly damaging behind the scenes? Your heart, your brain function, your overall energy. It's not just vanity. That shiny scalp could be a critical clue about the health of your entire foundation.